is another big move coming for the San Francisco 49ers after they paid George Kittle, Brock Purdy, and Fred Warner. We're talking about that here on the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Thanks for hanging out. And I mentioned those contract extensions that the Niners have given out since after the NFL draft. Kittle was first, Purdy was on Friday, Fred Warner earlier this week, and the Niners have made it a point to lock up some of their key pillars. And I think they've done so in a way that I really like these contracts as far as the team value while also compensating the players, given how important they are to how the Niners want to run their operation. For Kittle, he becomes the highest paid tight end in the NFL and in NFL history with a 4-year, $76.4 million deal. He gets $35 million in guaranteed money, $19.1 million in average annual value. For Brock Purdy, he has been one of the best bargain deals in the NFL since coming into the league in 2022. He has not yet made more than $1 million in a season, yet he has played at an MVP level in 2023. He's been a top 10 statistical quarterback since he became the starter in 2022. And he doesn't reset the market, nor does he come close to doing that with this contract extension, where he's tied for the 7th highest paid quarterback in the NFL. And if you factor in the final year of his rookie contract, he's under contract for the next 6 years at an average annual value of $45 million. And he counts less than 19% against the salary cap. So I know a lot of people freak out about $265 million. He gets $181 million in total guaranteed money. But this deal is so much better than the likes of Dak Prescott's contract with the Cowboys, Trevor Lawrence with the Jags, Jordan Love with the Packers, Tua Tagovailoa with the Miami Dolphins, and they're all getting paid more than Brock Purdy. And then with Fred Warner, he becomes the highest paid linebacker in the NFL, taking down Roquan Smith at $21 million per year. He did have 2 more years left on his contract. And so this is a 3-year deal on top of the existing 2. You get ahead of the linebacker market, which became robust and really exploded this past offseason. And so down the road, you could end up saving a lot of money for a player who's a 4-time first-team All-Pro, and he's been a 3-time first-team All-Pro in each of the last 3 years, and he's only missed 1 game since getting drafted in the 3rd round out of BYU in 2018. And so what an offseason it has been for the San Francisco 49ers. They have been extremely busy, making a lot of changes going into 2025. They have a reunion with Robert Saleh as they rehired him. They hired Brant Boyer to be the special teams coordinator. They let several key players and starters walk who have been very important for their success in recent memory. They have completely remade the defensive and special teams units. They've added all of these rookies in the draft and then as UDFAs too. So that's like 18 total rookies who they've added to this team, and they've locked up Brock Purdy, George Kittle, and Fred Warner. And so what's going to happen after these contract extensions that the Niners just handed out with Purdy, Kittle, Warner? Which player could get paid next? That's obviously part of this conversation. Something else that I want to hit is that you could say a lot of things about the Niners, right? They choke in Super Bowls. All right, they're 0-3 in Super Bowl appearances since their last Lombardi Trophy in 1994. They've lost a lot of big games. What you can't say about them is that they're cheap and they're not willing to invest in their football team. Because going back to when Nick Bosa signed his, at the time, historic contract going into the 2023 season, so that's less than 24 months, less than 2 years, the Niners have handed out nearly $1 billion in contracts to their core players. Brock Purdy got $265 million. Nick Bosa got $170 million. Brandon Aiyuk got $120 million. Deommodore Lenoir nearly $89. Trent Williams at $82.5. George Kittle, $76.4. Fred Warner at $63. Christian McCaffrey at $38. Kyle Juszczyk at $8 million. What does this also show? That Niners owner Jed York is all in with this football team for sure, but he's all in on this current regime and the leadership council of John Lynch as the general manager and Kyle Shanahan as the head coach. They are approaching nearly a decade with the Niners, and it doesn't seem as though, based on the Niners' actions and their team spending, that they're going anywhere because Jed York believes in those two guys, Lynch and Shanahan, to lead this team into the future. That's also part of the reason why the Niners have kind of rebuilt on the fly, because Jed York believes in what Lynch and Shanahan are bringing to the table. And so, that player who the Niners could sign next to a new deal, number 15, Jauan Jennings, a fan favorite because of the dog mentality that he brings to this team, the energy that he plays with, how respected he is in this locker room, and how clutch he's been as a football player. Before we talk about Jauan Jennings, today's 49ers Report, sponsored by our friends at Prize Picks, the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cash. With millions of members, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. It's very easy. You just pick more or less on at least two players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your money. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. And right now, you can cash in on the basketball playoffs with Prize Picks. Don't miss your last chance to add your favorite players from the court to your Prize Picks lineup. Whether it's points, rebounds, assists, take your pick of more or less for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your money today. Going into Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, Knicks-Pacers. This is what we like. Jalen Brunson, more than 28.5 points in Game 1. Miles Turner, more than 15.5 points. And then Josh Hart, the glue guy for New York, less than 12 points because he's going to have a very big defensive effort. Every Tuesday, by the way, Prize Picks will discount several projections on the board, usually by 15 to 25%. Taco Tuesday is awesome. And then there's Flex Friday as well. Pick more, pick less. Use that link down below, prizepicks.com/CLNS. And when you sign up today, you get $50 instantly when you play $5. So let's revisit this here. Is Jauan Jennings the next homegrown player to get a bag from the San Francisco 49ers? Interesting conversation to have here, because going into 2024, Jennings signed a 2-year, $15.4 million extension going into last season. And so he's entering the final year of his deal. In 2024, there were injuries all over the offensive side of the football. Not for Jennings. Had a career year. 77 grabs for 975 yards and 6 touchdowns. May have gotten over 1,000 if he didn't get booted, which I thought was ridiculous, in that Week 18 game against Arizona when he was doing his job as a blocker. He's entering his age 28 season. He's going to turn 28 this summer. And what a ride it's been for the 2020 7th-round pick, who wasn't active for a game as a rookie. And then every year that he's been in the NFL, he has continued to get better and better and better. And with him coming off that career season, what is his price tag going to be? Because from the Niners standpoint, if I were running this organization, I would pay him. I want Jauan Jennings on my football team because of what he brings to the locker room, what he brings to the field, how he plays. And I think that his level of swagger, his level of physicality, it's part of the Niners brand. It's part of the Niners identity. And San Francisco clearly really values him. So I think he'd be a smart player to extend. But if you're in the shoes of Jauan Jennings, right now, you are getting severely underpaid. It is a very lucrative wide receiver market. And if Jauan Jennings were to wait to get a contract extension, and if he were to play this year out, obviously there are injury concerns and you run a risk of that because sometimes you want that financial security to lock up long term. But if he goes out there in 2025 and he duplicates his success from what he did last year, or even if he gets better, Jauan Jennings has an opportunity at a huge pay upgrade. I mean, right now he's making less than $8 million per season. And you look at the highest paid wide receivers in the game. Obviously, he's not in this top 10 list. But when you have these contracts ranging from Jamar Chase at 40 and a quarter, who's the number one highest paid wide receiver in the game, well over Justin Jefferson at 35, and then you look at the likes of a Jalen Waddle making $28.25 million per year. There is an argument to be made that if Jennings has another really solid season here in 2025, he could be in the market for a contract around $20 million. I mean, that's totally fair. Last year, 113 targets, the go-to option for Brock Purdy, 77 catches, 975 yards, and 6 touchdowns. I know that 2024 a little bit of an outlier, but this is what he's capable of if he gets targeted a lot as far as the target share, then he becomes a really good option. Because prior to last year, seldom used a lot on money downs, third down, fourth down, in some clutch situations. He's always coming through in the guts of the ball game, right? But last year, I think, is an indication of what type of player Jauan Jennings really is and where he excels. Track record of being clutch, incredible on third and fourth down, always in the right place at the right time. He does lack some speed, but he's very physical, and he gives you height at the wide receiver position. He's very tough at the catch point, and he's a fantastic run blocker. And so you look ahead to 2025, and you think about this Niners receiver room, which we'll get to here in a second. You also factor in Brendel Aiyuk. When is he going to come back? We're really not sure. He could miss half of the 2025 season. If that happens, Jauan Jennings might be wide receiver 1 for this football team, which might mean he could be very difficult to retain after this year because he might be too expensive for what the Niners can and are willing to pay. Brendel Aiyuk is wide receiver 1 when he's healthy, but he tore 3 ligaments in his knee last year. Ricky Pearsall had a strong ending to last year, but the jury is still out on him. Outside of Brendel Aiyuk, Jauan Jennings and Demarcus Robinson are the 2 proven wide receivers in this room, so I'm expecting another big year for Jauan Jennings. If he's willing to take a contract extension now, I think it'd be smart to pay him because you get ahead of the market if he blows up once again in 2025 in a positive way. So should the Niners sign Jauan Jennings to a contract extension? Let me know down in the comments section. P for pay, W for wait. That is today's poll question.